You're listening to the Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CIPFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the podcast section of the Public Finance website. Hello, I'm John Watkins, Group Editor of Public Finance and your host for this latest episode of the PF Live podcast. This episode is in partnership with Deloitte and will see us explore the latest capabilities of ERP systems for public sector organizations, while also exploring specifically Deloitte's capability to deliver ERP programs for the public sector through its new SAP Public Cloud Center of Excellence and its local and regional government Accelerator Smart Government. To chat through all of that, I'm joined by Stephen Glynn and Libby Mason, who are both partners at Deloitte. Welcome both.
Thank you for having us.
It's certainly good to have you here. We like to kick off all of our episodes by asking you what you've thought of PF Live so far and what you've most enjoyed. We're on day 2, so we can do a look back rather than a look forward. What's been great about it for you so far? What have you enjoyed? What are you taking away?
Well, I can start. So as a CIPFA council member, this is not my first time at PF Live. So it's an event I look forward to every year.
Yeah.
I think being able to welcome Hardiv in as the new CIPFA president, it's always an exciting time to sort of see that succession change hands and, you know, some fresh perspectives. And I think Hardiv's message around sort of one public sector finance is really exciting. So that's been great. And, you know, catching up with old friends, new colleagues, etc. It's a fantastic event. So
yeah, all good stuff.
Yeah,
it's been really exciting. It's been great to meet new people as well. There's a lot of people kind of moving through the hall here with lots of questions, lots of points of view. So it's been really exciting.
Good. All right, that's what we like to hear. Let's get into the discussion around ERP. We're sort of focused at first on the trends that we're seeing around ERP at the moment. Everybody knows the public sector world is changing really, really fast, and there's big change coming as well. So how does that impact what organizations need from their ERP systems, and what trends are we seeing in terms of systems evolving to meet those needs?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, this week and actually yesterday and today, we've got lots of announcements coming on in around LGR. So we're finding out how the shape and size and amalgamation or kind of separation of councils are going to look like in the future. We've got combined authorities coming in. We've got, you know, financial pressures and financial resilience is always a theme in public sector. We need good value for money, do more with less. I think really when you think about it, sort of these enterprise technology solutions like SAP are what underpin an organization's ability to plan, report, and understand where we're getting value for money out of the delivery of public sector programs. And that's just becoming more complex. So, you know, councils need tier 1 sort of solutions to be able to do that with, because they need to be able to bring everything together and get that visibility.
Glynn, what are you seeing in terms of the trends in terms of demand, I guess, from the public sector organizations looking at ERP?
Yeah, I think to go into the technology side of the business challenges, I mean, the buzzword for the last kind of year and a half has been AI and, you know, kind of automation. And councils and local government organizations are being asked to do a lot more with less. And so they have to automate and move towards that world. So AI is a big term. How do we actually use it? People are scared of it. They want to understand it better. Automation is a big piece to that. Like, how do we simplify our processes? And as a result, kind of the most common trend, which I think anybody kind of watching or listening this from local government will definitely align with data. How do we actually get our data in place so that, or in a good way or shape, to actually be able to utilize AI or to automate processes? So we're hearing a lot in those spaces. Getting data ready, clean data, they are major challenges right now.
Well, there's certain areas where traditional ERP systems are falling down, or where public sector organizations are particularly frustrated with systems, given the sort of, you know, new things that come on board and the increased complexity that public sector organizations are seeing all the time.
I would jump in to say what's actually super interesting. I've been kind of involved in this space for around 15 years. The old is the new. The challenges that have been around for the last number of years are consistently still the challenges. So in the last kind of 3, 4, 5 years, organizations and local government that have been adopting new ERP, they start with, we want to do standard. We want to move to kind of standard processes. We don't want to use spreadsheets. We don't want to use Excel for everything. We want the system to do what it's designed to do. The biggest challenges for local government, specifically around SIPFA code and MERS, we actually don't have standard solutions. So when you look at these tier 1, tier 2 solutions, when they say standard, they're talking about a more general standards. They're not talking about meeting SIPFA requirements like housing revenue. They're not looking at, reserves, movements in reserves. They're not looking at the SIPFA requirements specifically. And so where everything failed but hasn't met the need historically is standard isn't our standard. Standard is a more broad general standard. And so that's what we have really heavily focused on. What we've done in the last little while is we asked our, Deloitte audit, we asked our audit team, in local government, what are the biggest challenges and where are audits failing? And so they have looked at that and they came back to us with very clear recommendations on these are the things that need to be true for local government. And we have worked with SAP and AWS together to create a pre-configured way of deploying SIPFA aligned, so the SIPFA code inbuilt kind of chart of accounts, set of financial processes. And beyond that, we've looked at kind of key processes to say, what can we automate and standardize? And that's what we've built in our solution. So we've tried to look at what hasn't worked and how do we make that standard for local governments?
Yeah.
And that is a big win at the moment for us.
Yeah.
Those are frustrations you're seeing, Libby, as well, around existing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you sort of historically see, ERP isn't something that people do often, particularly when you're in local government or any organization, really, for that matter. And I think understanding how to buy well, how to buy the right thing, how to get the right solution, and what are the critical enablers for success. So oftentimes we see organizations coming out with a statement of requirements that is very much focused on process fit. So fit to standard of a process is often a lot of the time. Can it do these things? Does it have these features? And yes, the features are important, but in fact, I think where we see these programs falling down is, to Stephen's point, around some of those things around the enterprise structures, the chart of accounts, the reporting requirements. And those things don't often reveal themselves until sort of 3/4 of the way through a program, when you've been focusing on your process fit and your process standardization. And all of a sudden you sort of turn it 180 degrees and say, well, hang on a second, how is this going to get, where's my MERS reporting out of the box? Or, how am I going to do my month end or my year end? And that's when it starts to fall down. And this is what we're seeing sort of time and time again. So, and this is why we've invested in trying to make this a success.
Stephen, you talked a little bit about what you've built into your offering. I want to get a bit more into that. If we can, we'll start with SAP Public Cloud Center of Excellence. Tell us a bit about that, how it works. It's a relatively new offering, as I understand it. How's it set up for the modern demands of the public sector?
Yeah, so I mean, a little bit of background on myself and Libby. So I am an SAP nerd, which a lot of people don't like to admit, but I am. And I love what I do and I'm very passionate about it. I'm also a local government nerd. I love working around kind of local government requirements. And Libby is not that. Libby is a very energetic leader, and together we complement.
I'm the accountant.
So,
I'm the accountant. We're the yin and yang.
Yeah, she can be.
Accountants can be cool too.
Yes. And so, kind of taking into account the nerd and the obsessive piece, what we've looked at is what's missing here for local government. And we mentioned kind of the solution that we're building, but what we've actually looked at is the capability and the capacity there to deliver these things. And that's the gap that we've seen. So we said, right, how do we get that out there quick enough so that when an organization in local government is asking for not just the person or the group that knows technology, that actually knows the business requirements. So SAP nerd, accountant.
That's it.
So we've looked at bringing those things together and saying, right, how do we actually rapidly deploy that for the market? So we focused and invested on building a center of excellence, which is really a group of people who are focused on very specific requirements. How do we deliver? How do we deliver with a common methodology? How do we deliver in the right way? And what we've brought together, and it's based in Manchester, is our National Center of Excellence for Public Cloud to focus on getting the right methodology, building the right capabilities, having the right capacity so that we can deliver to the market, in the right way with the right capabilities.
Which makes sense when you are operating in what is a more niche sector, I guess, that has its own specific challenges and requirements, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, one of the things that we've seen, challenges in the market, I'm sure anybody watching who has been doing ERP in the last decade in local government, they would definitely, align to the statement that you don't always get the organization that knows local government and technology. You generally get the technologists or you get the local government specialists. And what we're trying to do is close that gap so that an organization the size of Deloitte, we have all of these capabilities. We audit, we do advisory, we do tax, we do all of these pieces with local government. How do we bring that together with the technology, the SAP nerds? I'm going to cut that's TM. How do we bring it together?
Very proud.
Yes. How do we bring that together so that we are delivering that effectively? And it is niche. Like talk about, movement in reserves and housing revenue. You're not
going in everywhere.
No,
He doesn't get bored of it, though, I can tell you.
That's a good thing. And so put that in some context of the real world benefits. What comes out the other end for public sector organizations? What will it empower them to do? How's it going to make their lives better?
When we show up with the experience and knowledge of your sector. We're showing up. You don't need to coach us. You don't need to teach us. We already have the experience and the knowledge of the sector so that we show up. We know how to advise you in the right way. So what we do as we show up is we show up with the skills and the experience to be able to say, right, day one, we're ready to go. And so that allows us to accelerate straight into resolving the challenges. The one thing I would say about that's an important caveat, and it's kind of Libby's focus, what she mentioned before, which is how does local government show up?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for us, it's about delivering value for money into the taxpayer. We're all citizens, we live here, we're taxpayers. We all are receivers of the local public services and wherever that we're living in whatever part of the country. And I think, as somebody who, I trained as a CITFA accountant back in 2007. So, I've been on this journey as a civil servant and as a CITFA accountant, and now I'm on CITFA council. So, I'm, personally really invested in making sure that, we deliver a good outcome for our clients. I think, the big thing that we're sort of both very passionate about is making sure that these programs deliver real value. And I think when we go back and look at the lessons learned of where things haven't worked, and even today and yesterday, getting the opportunity to talk to people that are somewhere on that journey, whether it's thinking about, where they're going to go, they're halfway through, or they've already gone live, with whatever product, and they're sort of questioning, well, why doesn't it work? And why am I still using spreadsheets? And why don't I have the insight? And I don't have any dashboards, and I'm still having to bring things together with sellotape and string. And that's just not good enough. These programs are a big investment in time and energy, in resources and money. And for, the civil service to not get a good outcome as a result of them, I think is something that Stephen and I both were like, we've got to play a big role in solving for that. So
awesome. You're also here to talk about your LRG Accelerator Smart Government. So explain that to us. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think this is the key part around showing up with standard for local government. And so what we've done is we put that all together. So when you think of CIPFA code, when you think of the MERS reporting requirements, and you think of the processes that local government needs to have, it is common across the UK. Yeah. And that's critical that when we see that commonality, that we can come with that's standard for local government. That's what we've designed and built. So the idea is, we have SAP, which is, best in class ERPs, tier one, utilized, if you think, central government, HMRC, it's utilized across a huge number of councils. So it works. The challenge is the gap for local government and CIPFA. So we've designed a chart of accounts for CIPFA organizations, local government, processes that align to all of the requirements. So think housing revenue, think asset accounting, revaluations, all of these pieces. And we have that pre-built so that when we show up for an organization, when we say standard, it is the standard for local government. Yeah. And we're working off the right set of processes to accelerate their implementation. The one thing I've seen, I spoke to a huge number of UK councils and at different levels, from kind of CFO to the IT organization. The one common thing that everybody in local government wants to do is they want to deliver good work. They want this to work. Yeah. They don't want to have to use spreadsheets. They don't want to have to use Excel manual processes. So our goal with this solution is we're going to bring you standard to help you achieve what you really want to achieve, which is the business value from the solution to make sure the IT solution works for you. So what our smart government is, that solution is, It's a public cloud deployed SAP solution built specifically for local government that gives you SIPFA code aligned financial processes and MERS reporting capabilities.
I think the other thing that's really important to note, and what we've heard from people in the last 2 days here at Public Finance Live, is it's not just yes, we spend a lot of time around the process and the enterprise structures and SIPFA compliance. It's also understanding how to solution the right set of products. So SAP isn't one thing. It is many different components of a solution that you have to architect and bring together. And this is where sort of the combination of, the business and the tech is really important because, for example, Stephen has made sure to solution the right components of an SAP product that need to be enabled in order to meet the needs of local government. And I think what we're finding from talking to people is that actually the solution that they've bought isn't the right solution. So where are you getting the gaps? You're getting the gaps because you haven't bought the right things and then you're not putting it in properly.
Right.
And so we're trying to close both of those gaps.
Stephen, can you elaborate a little bit more on that around kind of how the solutions have been developed? Because, SAP, we know SAP really well at public finance and we know Deloitte really well too. So just talk to us about how these sort of solutions have been pulled together a little bit.
Yeah, and this goes back to the center of excellence approach. So we looked at a gap that we were aware of, a challenge, and we said, right, how do we address this challenge? So we looked across the strength of SAP, Deloitte, and AWS.
Right.
So in Deloitte, we have our audit team who have been auditing councils for decades.
Yeah.
We have our advisory team who have been advising councils on kind of their operating processes for decades. And we went to them and said, right, we need to help local government. So our audit organization led by Ian House for local government, who's been doing this for years and has been a SIPFA member.
And he was here all day yesterday and he was like a kid in a candy shop. He's so excited about this solution. It's fantastic to see an auditor who's so excited about a technology solution.
Yeah, exactly. And so his team brought to us and said, look, these are the challenges. So they gave us a very strong list of challenges that we brought into the Center of Excellence. And so our solution owner, Brendan, who came over from Canada. So my role, I used to be in the Canadian firm helping government public sector across Canada. So we've resolved some of these challenges previously. Brennan took those skills and his experience with those challenges and worked across our Center of Excellence to solution them within SAP. And so we took all of these skills, put together a solution that we feel the design meets the need. And then we went to SAP and said, SAP, we've seen your challenging programs. You're aware of the market. SAP provided us their kind of common pitfalls that they've seen, validated a lot of the things that we feel are needed. We also went to AWS and asked questions around deployments and cloud and what is local government looking for. So we took the best of what AWS offered, SAP, Deloitte skills, and we designed a solution that we do feel meets the needs of a local government organization here in the UK.
So very, very tailored to the sector and the needs of public sector organisations. Brilliant. That's all fascinating. Before we wrap, could you just give us your understanding of where ERP goes from here? I mean, we've got these rapid changes. We've got huge changes happening in the sector. We've got changing demands for public sector organisations, and we've got AI happening at a rapid rate alongside and as part of all of that as well. What's your kind of understanding of the ERP on the horizon? Where does it go from here? What are its potential capabilities?
Well, I mean, I think it's probably more important than it ever has been, right? If you want to be able to keep up with the pace of change within the needs of how local government is delivering for citizens, but also around being able to have that visibility and transparency around, your financial and all of your resources, because, we haven't really talked about HR, but, the integrated suite across smart government includes HR as well as procurement and reporting. So we're, focusing on finance here today, but it is across your entire kind of resource profile. I think it's important to say AI is built into what we're delivering, right? So if you look at the vendors, if you look at AWS and SAP, they're building AI into what they're doing. And that's, what we're working with clients to say, well, how do you adopt AI out of the box around what's going to come as part of the solutions? And then where do you need to do that extensibility and how do we sort of, start to do that?
I think the key piece there, which is AI and where ERP is going. So the first thing is AI works in a very specific way. If you put junk in, you're going to get junk out. Yep. Data is critical. And what we're seeing, especially in local government organizations, is data has not always been well managed. So the trend that we see is everyone wants more standardization. Everyone's looking for more automation. That doesn't happen without fixing data.
Yeah.
So data has become one of the top topics for CFOs and CIOs in this space. So the first trend is data needs to get cleaner and better, and as a result, ERP needs to handle data in a more integrated way so that we can leverage AI. Second piece is, as we're moving towards more standardization and automation and AI capabilities, we're having to do a lot more change in the business. And so now ERP conversations are more change conversations than they are technology conversations.
Yeah.
How do we get business ready? So they're kind of the main things that are coming, and ERP is only going to get more automated. It's only going to get more AI capabilities. As Libby has mentioned, SAP and AWS are building AI agentry and capabilities.
Yeah.
Deloitte is building it. Everybody you speak to is building their own AI capabilities. So it's going to get more automated and more AI. And if you're in an organization that hasn't dealt with the data challenge, that hasn't considered standardization in ERP, you're going to be forced to. So you have to take that into consideration now, because that's going to be the challenge that you're dealing with for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good message for us to wrap on. Brilliant. Stephen and Libby, thank you so much. If people want to get in touch with you to find out a bit more about the solutions we've talked about, what's the best way to do that?
You can
Find us on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn,
Find us
email,
on LinkedIn, yeah.
bat signal.
Yeah, that's it.
They'll find you somehow. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, both of you. Really enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of PF Live 26.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to an episode of our Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CIPFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts.